SwoleBenji here. So today I'm going to talk about the fastest possible weapon in each weapon category to use to fame farm in solo dungeons, okay? This only applies to solo dungeons. It's a little different for group dungeons. Not even all weapons can solo a group dungeon. Most can't. So let's get started. At the top of the Destiny board, we have the Frost Staff, the very first one, okay? Out of all the Frost Staffs, the best one for fame farming is the Great Frost Staff. You're going to use Hoarfrost, and you're going to use Frost Bomb with Hail, and the passive is Aggressive Caster. Now, because this is a spell casting build, you are heavily reliant on Scholar Robe with Speedcaster and Aggression. Oh, I'm sorry, it's Concentration. Speedcaster and Concentration. Alright, and you also have to use a Morgana Cape. Alright, now for your helmet, you're going to be using either the Spectre Hood, so you can reset your armor cooldown so you can spam spells faster, which is what I recommend most, but you can also use the Assassin Hood, but honestly, you don't really want to use this unless you're doing it for bosses. And for the boots, you definitely want to use Royal Sandals for the maximum possible damage. This also lets you run through the dungeon very quickly, okay? So here's just what it looks like, alright? So to blow up mobs, you're just going to use Frost Bomb, like so, and you're going to spam Qs on them. If there's a big cluster of mobs, you can aggro them all up and press E, and they'll be dead. Now, otherwise, when you're on the boss, you're going to activate R, D, F, hit W, hit E, and just spam Q. Just smash that Q button, and you'll kill the boss very quickly, alright? So that's the Frost Staff, the Great Frost Staff. Next up, we have the Cursed Staff. Out of all the Cursed Staffs, the one-handed Cursed Staff is the one you want to use. Now, you want to use a Crypt Candle with it, the highest you can afford. These things are like 50 million though, so it's okay. I use a 6.3 on my characters. I don't even have an 8.3 because they're too damn much. But you're going to be using the second Q ability, the first W ability, because you want to shred their armor, and the Death Curse, it gets really strong. Now, for this armor, you don't have mana issues, so you're going to be using the Druid Staff. And you're going to be using Obsessive Burst with Aggression. And for the helmet, you're going to keep on the Spectre Hood, so you can keep your armor buff going. For the boots, you're going to be using the Royal Sandals. Alright, now for the cape, this one's new. This one is the Caerleon cape. This cape is the... For Curse Staffs, this cape is so good. You can throw out 2 of these Qs immediately, alright? So when you're just killing mobs, you're just going to be throwing 2 of these out, and the cape didn't trigger because my cape is on cooldown. But you get the idea. You're just going to throw one of these out to kill mobs. For the boss, you're going to throw 2 Qs out, hit him with the E, while your armor's going, while your boots are going, and it's just gonna blow them the heck up, okay? So that's the Curse Staff. Next up is the Arcane Staff. I don't recommend that you ever level Arcane Staff through solo dungeons, but if you really want to, this is how you would do it. You're going to be using the Evensong with Magic Shock, Mimic, which you don't unlock till later, so I hope you have fame credits, because without this, it's so slow, dude. And Dark Sphere with the passive Hush, because they all suck, dude. I mean, you can use Energy Regeneration, it doesn't matter. But essentially what you're going to do is you're going to mimic yourself so that you have 2 Magic Shocks. Oh, and for the cape, you're just going to use a basic Thetford cape. So when you auto-attack, you'll do a big, juicy chunk of damage, 315 times 4. Alright, so, and again, you're going to be using Druid Robe for this. So, Druid Robe, you use your helmet, you use the Royal Boots, as always, and you're going to hit the Magic Shock, you're going to mimic yourself, hit that Magic Shock, and then you're going to push E, and that's how you kill the mobs and the bosses. There's really not a lot to it. It does do a lot of burst damage. This is the hardest hitting Q spell in the game, but it does have a kind of a shitty cooldown. Not as good as bolt casters or crossbows in general, but that's Arcane Staffs. Next up we have the Priest. If you're gonna play a priest in solo dungeons, I'm sorry, but why? Why are you doing that? Anyway, you're gonna use the Hallowfall with Crypt Candle. You're gonna be using Smite, Sacred Pulse, and Divine Intervention. Now this is where things get a little weird, okay? So for your armor, you're actually going to be using the Spectre Jacket. Yeah, that's right. And for the helmet, you're actually going to be using the Stalker Hood. Okay. Boots are still the Royal Sandals. You could also use soldier boots for wanderlust so you can run faster, because most of your damage is coming from your chest piece and not so much your body. So here's how it works. We'll use royal boots in this example. Oh, I haven't been going over foods. Anytime you use the Spectre Jacket, guys, anytime you use the Spectre Jacket, you're going to be using cabbage soup. Anytime you use the Druid Robe, you're going to be using the pork omelet. And anytime you're using the Scholar Robe, you're going to be using pork omelet as well. And there's a few builds where you'll be using beef stew instead. Beef stew is an alternative, it's all around good, but it's mostly cabbage soup and pork omelet, okay guys? So don't worry about that. Now, for the cape, you'll still be using Thetford Cape. You can also use a Demon Cape. Demon Cape is alright for bosses. It really depends on how fast you want to kill bosses. It's kind of hard to save, though. That's why I just say Thetford Cape. It's 15-second cooldown. It does tons of damage. Alright, so here's how it works. You're going to press R, then you're going to press F and run at the boss. You're going to push E on him, D, and just spam Qs. And when he's at 50% life, you're going to hit D, which is going to armor shred him. And you're just going to stand next to him and hit him with Ds, or Qs. Just sit there and spam Q on him. That will kill the boss. You can press W, that's going to heal you. You won't heal that much because you have Spectre Jacket on, but you won't die. You absolutely will not die to any bosses ever. And this is the fastest way to clear with Priest Staffs. Alright, so next up we have the Fire Staffs. And this one's pretty obvious. For Fire Staffs, so the Blazing Staff, you're going to be using the second Q. You're going to be using Fire Wave because this is the highest DPS skill in the W slot. And, of course, Flame Tornado. So for this one, you're just going to be using... not Scholar Robe. Sorry, where'd it go? Gonna be using the Druid Robe, obviously, with Spectre Hood and Royal Sandals. Now, you can also use any leather boot for Refreshing Sprint. If you don't want to use Royal Sandals, though I recommend Royal Sandals. So you press R, D, F, and then you go up to the mob, you're gonna hit W, hit them with the E, and then throw a Q down, and then you're just gonna start autoing. You know, make sure to refresh your R button so you have 6 stacks. Just throw down more Qs, keep autoing. For bosses, you can technically switch to Firebolt for more DPS, but for mob clear, like just a Q, the mobs will run through it, they'll fucking get burned up and die. You can turn around, hit them with the W, and they'll just roast to death. Usually before they run out of range. Now, this build can be a little mana heavy sometimes, and if that's the case, then you could always switch to the Scholar Cowl and use an Energy Shield. And that is the fastest way to clear dungeons as the Fire Staff. So next up we have the Quarterstaff, and I don't recommend ever doing dungeons with a Quarterstaff. Never, ever, okay guys? Just don't do it. There's no reason to do it. It's stupid to do. But if you absolutely have to do it, here's how it works. You're going to be using Cartwheel, so you can get around a little faster. You can use Stun Run to run faster, or you can use Heavy Cleave. For bosses, I just keep on Heavy Cleave. It's a really big AoE, and it does a ton of damage. It'll kill mobs. And the new jump, woo! It's pretty cool. It does an okay damage, but essentially you're just going to do the same thing. You're going to activate your Spectre Jacket. You're just going to run around, and you're just going to kind of jump around at the enemies. Press D to lower their armor when they're at 50%, and you're just going to burn them to death. Okay. For those that wondering, 8.3 Spectre Jacket with high spec does the same amount of damage as a max spec Boltcaster's E. So that's why we're using the Spectre Jacket, and pretty much everything is to pump up the Spectre Jacket damage. Also Thetford Cape, because, well, why not? So that's how the fastest way to level Quarterstaffs if you're doing solo dungeons, which I don't recommend. Like I said, I don't recommend it. Daggers. The best dagger for soloing dungeons is going to be the Bridled Fury, and there's a few reasons for that. The main reason is that the E does the most damage, and it's an AoE, and it moves you, okay? So look at that. That is a huge, big damage chunk right there. The Throwing Blades lets you have a move speed and a damage speed increase. The Q lets you move forward faster, alright? So for this one, I'm still recommending the Spectre Jacket, because you have 3 movement abilities. You just activate this, you run at the boss, you hit him with the W, you hit him with the Qs, and then you hit him with the E, and this E, that kills the boss pretty fucking fast. However, this build suffers from major mana problems. You're going to be using a Limhurst Cape to try to help with that. Other than that, there's no other real reason like to run any other items. This is the dagger build, the fastest way to level through daggers in dungeons. Alright, next up. This is the test realm. That's why I'm trashing these guys. I'm not actually like, I don't have a billion fucking silver. This is the test realm. Next up is the Nature Staffs. I'm going to be using the Iron Root Staff, and this is, Nature Staffs are so slow at farming. Alright, and you're basically going to do the same thing. You're going to use the Spectre Jacket, and you're going to just run through and kill shit with the Spectre Jacket, because that's the fastest way to do it. Alright, you're gonna use thorns and you're gonna auto attack the boss. Also, try to pull the boss with another mob and then soul link it to the enemies. They'll die really quick, but you can also soul link to yourself and the enemy. Sorry, I keep like hiccuping. You can soul link yourself to the boss. This is just the best all-around damaging weapon you can use, especially with a Crypt Candle, because Crypt Candle really feeds into Spectre Jacket, okay? So that's Nature Staffs. Alright, now Spears. Spears are pretty cool. You're going to actually be using the Druid Robe for this one with Spectre Hood. Now, I highly recommend Leather Boots for this build. You want Refreshing Sprint. You just want, like, this is the ideal build here. And for Spears, you're going to be using the first Q, the first W, and the passive that increases your attack speed. And all you gotta do is just pump up your Druid Robe to 6, right? You throw out your E, you hit him with the W, you spam that Q, you press R before the buff runs out. See, it's still got like 5 seconds when it hits 1. And you just keep rotating those abilities and you'll clear mobs really fast. It's a really fast weapon to clear with, okay? And it beats all the other spears. That's why I'm recommending it in this video. That's what this video is about. Alright, and that's the spears. So next up, we have bow. Out of all the bows, the regular bow is the fastest clear, and there's a reason why it is. The reason why is most of your time is going to be spent killing bosses. If you want to kill trash, there are better trash killing bows. However, using just your Q, your W, and your E, you can also use Ray of Light. Ray of Light just deletes mobs, okay? But for bosses, you want explosive arrows. You can pre-cast your W and E, enter the dungeon, and you don't have to wait that 10 seconds. You can just run up and immediately start blasting, okay? It's really good. Then alternative is also using Frost Shock with the Spectre Jacket setup, so you have more movement ability, like movement speed and shit. But other than that, you're just going to be using Druid Robe mostly. There's no reason to use the Scholar Robe. As far as your mana goes, this has no mana problem, so you'll be using the Thetford Cape, alright? You can use a Caerleon Cape, but I don't really see the point. That's the best way to do bows, alright? Next up is crossbows. We all know this one. If you've seen any of my videos on my channel, you know the Boltcaster build. We already have it on, right? Refreshing Sprint, Druid Robe, Spectre Hood. You freaking charge up your abilities, run next to the boss, you hit them with the W, you hit them with the E, and they're dead. They're just straight up dead. And for mobs, well, guess what? You can just spam Qs over and over and over. The Caerleon Cape works if you don't want Thetford. However, I like to weave in auto attack so I can clear trash super fast. This is the fastest clearing dungeon build in the entire fucking game. You can argue with me all you want. This is the fastest, absolute fastest build in the whole video. So this is how you can speed level crossbows if you want, or you can just speed level this and then use fame credits like I recommend. But if you're stubborn and you don't want to do that, then I'll go over the rest of the weapons. Okay, so that's crossbows. Now we have hammers. I don't recommend that you ever solo level hammers. They're so damn slow. But in this build, you're going to be using the Spectre Jacket, okay? And I recommend using the Stalker Hood with Royal Sandals. You're just going to turn on your Spectre Jacket, and you're going to use your movement abilities to dart around. You can also use Slowing Charge, because that's another movement ability. All you got to do is just move next to the enemy, right? Like you just zoom up next to them, burn them. Now for bosses, you want a powerful W, you want a powerful Q. Just spam the boss down. That's the fastest way to level. For hammers, okay? But I don't recommend you do it. Maces, you pop on the mace, you pop on the Crypt Candle. You get your movement abilities for trash clear. I've went over this in another video, I'm sure. Alright. It's the same thing as hammers, except now you have a leap that gets you around faster. You're still going to use the same thing, Stalker Hood, Spectre Jacket, Royal Sandals. You can also use Spectre Hood if you want to double down on your Spectre Jacket. But usually by the time this goes on cooldown, you can get halfway through the dungeon. If you have the red buff, you'll be all the way through the dungeon. Alright. Same thing, you still keep the Thetford Cape on. It's all good, man. Alright, and that's for leveling maces. All the other maces suck for leveling. The one-handed mace is the best choice. Next up, we have axes. Now, this one's debatable. Everyone's going to say, oh, Great Axe is the best. Do you use Great Axe? No. The world record holder for speedrunning a corrupted dungeon is a Bear Paws user with Spectre Jacket, Royal Sandals, and Spectre Hood. This is the world record for corrupted dungeons build right here, right on this screen. You're going to use the second Q, the last W, or you can use the run speed one. Doesn't matter. And the razor cut. And all you do is you activate this, and then you just fucking jump at the enemy, cut them up, spin them around, grind them up into dust, and then you just sprint to the next mob. You rinse and repeat that. If you want to be Gucci lit and be a little different, instead of a Spectre Hood, you could also use the Assassin Hood so you can get your E back faster. This build just pretty much plays itself. I would recommend switching to Adrenaline Boost. You're going to kill the boss so fast anyway, it doesn't even matter. And that's the fastest clearing speed for axes. You can also use Great Axe. Everyone knows the Great Axe build. I don't need to cover it here. Alright. Last one is swords. The fastest sword is the Clearant Blade. And let me explain. Okay, you may be thinking, well, Clearant Blade, when you look at it here, Clearant Blade only does 681. Whereas the double swords do 737. So how is it faster? And I'll explain to you. Not only is this a 5-second faster cooldown, but double swords do not get the crypt candle bonus of 38% extra damage. 38% times 600 plus damage. Well, in this case, it's 1,200. It really scales up. It's way more than double swords. Also, because you're using a Clearant Blade, like your Q, you're going to use the second Q for an AoE spin. You're going to use the W that increases your move speed. As you run around with a sword, you're going to be able to stack more movement speed, which I guess you know what that means. It's Spectre Jacket time. You're going to turn that bad boy on, clear it up with your Spectre Hood, and you're just going to run, and you're going to spin, and you're going to run, and you're going to spin. And if you get a big beefy enemy or the boss, you're going to use your E-spin, and that's going to do a shit ton of damage. Alright? And then when your Spectre Jacket runs out, well, you're supposed to wait for your Spectre Jacket to run out before you use your Spectre Hood, obviously. Now, this is the most mana-intensive build out there, and you're going to have to use a Limhurst Cape for this, okay? The Limhurst Cape, because you're using Spectre Jacket, like I said, every build is going to be using the Cabbage Soup. Alright, and so that's the best build with swords. So it looks like we covered it all. If you have any questions, just leave a comment. I'll hopefully be happy to help you. If you didn't pay attention to the video and it's something I already answered in the video, then I probably won't reply to you, man. I'm just being honest, okay? I'm SwoleBenji, thanks for watching. This is the video that explains each weapon's class and which weapon in that category is the fastest, okay? If you want to know out of all the weapons which is the fastest, it's obviously Bolt Casters, then it's Bear Paws, and then it's Clearant Blade in that order, okay? Then after that, it goes Fire Staff, and then Frost Staff, and bows in that order, okay? If there was a tier list, that would be the tier list. I'm SwoleBenji, thanks for watching. As always, be a bro and stay swole, and I'll see you in the next one.